Black nationalism, political and social movement prominent in the 1960s and early 70s in the United States that gained popularity among Black Americans. The movement sought to acquire economic power and to infuse among Black people a sense of community and group feeling. Largely self-taught, Garvey attended school in Jamaica until he was 14. After traveling in Central America and living in London from 1912 to 1914, he returned to Jamaica, where, with a group of friends, he founded August 1, 1914, the Universal Negro Improvement and Conservation Association and African Communities League, usually called the Universal Negro Improvement Association (UNIA), which sought, among other things, to build in Africa a Black-governed nation. Failing to attract a following in Jamaica, Garvey went to the United States 1916 and soon established branches of the UNIA in Harlem and the other principal ghettos of the North. By 1919 the rising Black Moses claimed a following of about 2 million, though the exact number of association members was never clear. From the platform of the association's Liberty Hall in Harlem, he spoke of a new Negro, proud of being Black. His newspaper, Negro World, told of the exploits of heroes of the race and of the splendors of African culture. He taught that Blacks would be respected only when they were economically strong, and he preached an independent Black economy within the framework of white capitalism. To forward these ends, he established the Negro Factories Corporation and the Black Star Line, 1919, as well as a chain of restaurants and grocery stores, laundries, a hotel, and a printing press. He reached the height of his power in 1920, when he presided at an international convention in Liberty Hall, with delegates present from 25 countries. The affair was climaxed by a parade of 50,000 through the streets of Harlem, led by Garvey in flamboyant array. His slipshod business methods, however, and his doctrine of racial purity and separatism, he even approved of the white racist Ku Klux Klan because it sought to separate the races, brought him bitter enemies among established Black leaders, including labor leader A. Philip Randolph and W.E.B. Du Bois, head of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People (NAACP). Garvey's influence declined rapidly when he and other UNIA members were indicted for mail fraud in 1922 in connection with the sale of stock for the Black Star Line. He served 2 years of a 5-year prison term, but in 1927 his sentence was commuted by U.S. President Calvin Coolidge, and he was deported as an undesirable alien. He was never able to revive the movement abroad, and he died in virtual obscurity.
Black nationalism, political and social movement prominent in the 1960s and early 70s in the United States that gained popularity among Black Americans. The movement sought to acquire economic power and to infuse among Black people a sense of community and group feeling. The roots of Black nationalism can be traced to Marcus Garvey's Universal Negro Improvement Association of the 1920s. Many adherents to Black nationalism assumed the eventual creation of a separate Black nation. As an alternative to being assimilated by a predominantly white America, Black nationalists sought to maintain and promote their separate identity as a people of Black ancestry. With such slogans as Black Power, originated by the activist Stokely Carmichael, and Black is Beautiful, they also sought to inculcate a sense of pride among Black people, particularly as the civil rights movement faced new challenges in the wake of the assassinations of Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr.
Universal Negro Improvement Association (UNIA), primarily in the United States, organization founded by Marcus Garvey, dedicated to racial pride, economic self-sufficiency, and the formation of an independent Black nation in Africa. Though Garvey had founded the UNIA in Jamaica in 1914, its main influence was felt in the principal urban Black neighborhoods of the U.S. North after his arrival in Harlem, in New York City, in 1916. Garvey had a strong appeal to poor Blacks in urban ghettos, but most Black leaders in the U.S. criticized him as an imposter, particularly after he announced, in New York, the founding of the Empire of Africa, with himself as provisional president. In turn, Garvey denounced the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People (NAACP) and many Black leaders, asserting that they sought only assimilation into white society. Garvey's leadership was cut short in 1923 when he was indicted and convicted of fraud in his handling of funds raised to establish a black steamship line. In 1927 President Calvin Coolidge pardoned Garvey but ordered him deported as an undesirable alien. The UNIA never revived. Although the organization did not transport a single person to Africa, its influence reached multitudes on both sides of the Atlantic, and it proved to be a forerunner of black nationalism, which emerged in the U.S. after World War II.